what really sets us apart and what really is the driving motivational factor in setting up these academies. Like, knowledge by itself is kind of useless, because if you never share that knowledge, you're going to die with it, and it's going to die with you. People can try to mimic you and you look at what you did and recreate it, but it's never going to be the same as when you're sitting in front of them and like teaching them and answering questions, and just having a broad range of instructors or individuals who have a wealth of knowledge that kind of like display that knowledge in a manner that's more receptive to those people is really the benefit of what we're giving out of the academy specifically.
You're listening to The Hot Wash by Born Primitive Tactical. I'm Bruno Fallon. I've spent my 4-decade career in some of the most elite units in the United States Special Operations community, where I learned that elite operators aren't made overnight. They're forged through hardship, discipline, and relentless drive. In each episode, I sit down with the most accomplished and innovative leaders in special operations, industry, coaching, and athletes of all disciplines. Let's jump right in. All right, fellas, welcome back. This is The Hot Wash by Born Primitive Tactical. You got 2 great guests here. The cool thing is everybody in this room works for Born Primitive, so it's going to be a fun podcast. I think everybody knows Aron Snyder. Welcome, Aron.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I'm excited. This is my 3rd one, I guess, so I feel special.
Yeah, man. Well, you started my podcast career off. My first one ever was on yours. So
that went really well. That was a good podcast. I had a lot of feedback from that. So
that's awesome. And then we've got Kurt Gamache here. You guys haven't been watching the new Born Primitive Academy. He's one of our superstars out there.
One of the most dangerous men alive.
That's right. That's right. Kurt, welcome.
Thanks. I appreciate it, Bruno.
Okay, I got to tell you, we're gonna do something right up front to open Kurt up, because Kurt really is not big on podcasts. So I've got an idea here. We work closely with a company called Hooten & Young. You guys know Norm Hooten. And fellas, we're going to have a little nip of this while we're doing the podcast. We're going to do that so we can open Kurt up and talk a little more freely.
I think this will be helpful.
And then I bet you're going to see the real side of Kurt.
You might want to pour him a quadruple.
Just pass it over, pour it to him. Pass it over to him.
Oh, there you go.
Even in our Born Primitive cups. What do you think about that?
Heck yeah.
All right.
We should.
All right. We got the Hooten & Young number 12 year going on.
Yeah.
All right. So, fellas, first of all,
cheers.
Cheers to America.
Yeah.
To America, of course. All right. Okay,
that's good.
Be a good podcast.
Oh, I'm ordering some of that.
Oh, yeah. It's good stuff. So, hey, the reason I have you fellas here, it's already launched. I want to talk about our new Born Primitive Academy. And I think the only way to start that out is, Aron, it was your dream. You came up with it. You pitched it to us and we jumped on it. So why don't you kind of give us the layout of what we're doing here?
So kind of top to bottom to top. I've always been somewhat of a teacher, although at certain times maybe I shouldn't have been. I've got a little older now. I know a little bit more. And kind of going back in time, remembering all the pitfalls and hiccups and issues that I had learning to be a woodsman and outdoorsman, wilderness living, hunting. It's not easy, right? And my idea was for us to start an academy as well as a YouTube page. Meaning on the YouTube page, you can brush up, learn things or whatever else on the YouTube page, informational, but you can sign up to go to our academy, and the academy covers multiple different things from bushcrafting, long range shooting, glassing, stalking, high angle shooting, just about anything that you can think of. And so I've wanted to do that for a long time and have dabbled in it, but that's kind of the big picture. We're just going to teach you to be a better human and a better person and a better hunter. And that's also leadership skills, things like that. And so with the crew that we have makes it really easy to do that, meaning people like Kurt and yourself, as well as our friends. When you show up to the academy, you're not just going to learn at the end of it. You're going to learn, but at the end of it, you are going to apply everything that you've learned for kind of a final test. And so that's kind of the nuts and bolts of it in a very short explanation, but I'm very excited about it. And I know the world is excited about it because I've been overloaded with messages about the classes that we're going to be having.
So something super cool. Kurt and I work here in the headquarters, and you're out there actually living the dream that we're all jealous of. except for it's cold as fuck out there, and I'll pass on that.
Oh, when you fart, you hear it hit the ground.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
cold.
Wyoming is cold, brother. But so one thing it's done for both of us, you know, and I'm gonna open up about Kurt's role here in a minute and let him talk about it, is we're brushing off the dust on skills. I mean, it's one of those where we start talking about even the basics and then going into the advanced stuff. To me, I had this conversation with Kurt, like, you know, some of the stuff we're talking about, I haven't done in years, and I'm good with it and I know it, but what's the latest gear being used, you know, and things like that. So it's kind of cool for us to get back into skills. But Kurt, just to go into it. So Kurt is at Born Primitive, not only our product manager, which means every new outdoor and tactical product that we make, he oversees it, the grueling testing and all that kind of stuff. But he's also the guy in the headquarters that manages the whole academy. So between the two of you, you guys put it together. But Kurt, I mean, you came out of the teams 20 years and got a lot of great skills. I know you're a very humble dude, but how do you see the academy panning out?
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. This is kind of interesting. We'll see how this goes. I normally don't speak too much, kind of stay to myself, but I think this whiskey's helping. So, yeah, it was an interesting opportunity. I think coming to Born Primitive has been a phenomenal career choice for me coming out of the military. Obviously, getting to work with you and Aron has been phenomenal. Just like Aron, teaching has been something that I've really had on my front focus of something that I wanted to do, and in fact, that was something that I wanted to pursue when I decided to retire. And I was looking at a lot of opportunities, but unfortunately, a lot of them required a significant amount of travel in order to get it done. And I think with the way that we're building out the outdoor academy, or just the academy in general, because we're going to be focusing on some tactical stuff as well, that it gives a little bit more leeway in that regard. But I spent a long time in my passion of outdoorsmanship, and this is like woodsmanship, bushcrafting, survival skills, that, you know, that discipline in general. Just on my personal time while I was in, it was something I was heavily focused on. It's something I really felt was a necessity that was lacking when I was in. And I made it a point that I was constantly learning and maintaining those skills while I was in, because it was not something that was focused on, because everything that we were dealing with was like a direct action missions, and didn't really have time for, hey, what do you do if you're in a survival scenario? What do you do if you're going to have to revert back to map and compass for land navigation? It's something you're taught, but it's not something that's sustained. So I was always very strongly focused on maintaining those skills and teaching my team to do those as well. So getting the opportunity to kind of teach those skills to other people in this framework has been something that I've been like really looking forward to, and being able to do it with Aron has been incredible, because he has a lot of skills that I don't have, and I think I possess some skills that he doesn't have. So we complement each other pretty well.
You're also a lot more anal retentive than I am, specifically on route planning. Yeah, it's good because everybody's a little bit different. Some guys are kind of wing it guys, and I'm more of a wing it guy. You're a planner,
right?
Which is
he's
good.
Very deliberate, and everything since I've known him, everything he's done, he's very deliberate and passionate about. So.
And the thing is, when you bring in students, and you and I have talked about this a lot, as far as different classes go, when you talk about land nav, you know, there's a lot more to land nav. When I say that, meaning you also want to be able to terrain association, you want to be able to read a compass and plot a grid coordinate. But in the end, it's not just getting to where you want to go. It also is a lot of, if somebody's injured, calling in for search and rescue or things of that nature. Or if you get an animal on the ground, being able to call you guys to come help me pack it out, and being self-sufficient. That's the biggest thing, is being self-sufficient, whether that be in the wild or at home. And that's where I really probably lack more than you guys do. And we're going to cover some of that in the academy, is also, you know, home defense, right? Things of that nature, which you guys are, you know, masters at. So, I mean, Kurt, a little bit more about you. Like you've kind of dabbled on it, but you were really into bushcrafting. Like you're very much into the preparedness side of things.
Yeah.
But that's not the military side. It is, but I mean, that was a hobby of yours.
Right.
I mean, you went to schools and things like that.
The military reinforced a lot of the thought process of why I was so passionate about it. Just having exposure to being overseas, seeing a lot of threats, being in a lot of scenarios that required me to be as prepared as possible because literally my life was on the line. So just having that positive reinforcement with my previous career has lent itself to me being very passionate about it. What was your other question you asked about?
That was pretty much it as far as just bushcrafting preparedness. I mean,
I think preparedness is a great way to kind of caveat it that, like, I say bushcrafting, but honestly, like, preparedness in general is something that I'm like very passionate about. Bug out bags. I've got ham radio, stuff going on in my house. So it's like, I have buckets of food stored up, and I keep a running pantry. So it's like, I have a lot of aspects of my daily life that kind of focus heavily on just preparedness aspect, but a lot of it has to do with my foundation with, my passion for bushcrafting.
So two things. Kurt doesn't come in to work with body armor on. He's not, or tinfoil on his head.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he's just prepared. And one of the examples I'll give, we just did 2 really, really big expos. We did SHOT Show and we did the Western Hunt Show back to back. And there was something that I thought this is showing Kurt's true colors. We're the only brand I know that stood up and had an emergency action plan at the beginning of each expo that Kurt prepared, briefed. So our entire staff, the boot staff's average from 10 to 12 people, knew where the exits were, where the police were, where first aid was, what to do if something happens, what our actions were.
Rally points,
everything.
That was when you brought that up. I'm like, never done that shit before.
But here's my point. Here's somebody that's lived in this environment forever. And, he did it at SHOT Show without me asking. And then I looked at him, I said, we are going to repeat this on Western Hunt, right? And he's like, oh yeah, man, I'm already ahead of you. And then I saw him go find the expo security and ask them the 50 questions that he could tailor down into his brief. So it's one of those, the right guy in the right place. And we skimmed over this real quick. You started talking about land navigation. I mean, without really going deep into Kurt's background, but the role he had at the unit he had was to essentially lead the best operators in the world to the target. That was the focus he was. So what better guy to naturally talk about land navigation in any freaking environment on the planet? Because that's what he had to be capable of doing.
Yeah, no, it's impressive and it's very helpful. And again, having I say anal retentive, but somebody that is, I don't want to say 180 degrees difference on the compass than I am, but quite a bit. And you and I have talked about it before where, when I route plan, I'm more of a macro than a micro guy. And so having both, because everybody's brains work different. And I mean, the reality is these courses that we're teaching, and I wanted to make a t-shirt of this. You want to be a fuck yeah guy. And people are like, what is that? And I'm like, hey, you're going here. Who's coming? Bruno and Kurt. Fuck yeah. Yeah. Fuck yeah. I want those guys. You want to be that guy.
Gotcha.
And if you don't have these skills, you're never going to be that person. You always want to be an asset. And what we're hoping to teach you, and obviously you guys are very good at that, is giving you all of the information needed to be a constant asset wherever you are, whether it's in the field or not. And so, yeah, I mean, the other thing with you, I mean, you shoot a bow, you shoot a rifle, you're good with a pistol, preparedness, you got EMT or medical background. I mean, you're pretty well rounded. I think the only thing I have on you is I've shot more animals than you, but that's about
He's shot more humans than you, motherfucker.
By far.
Yeah, by far.
Yeah. But on that note, when we talk about that or whatever, I've had people message me about the land nav side of things. And I'm like, when you get to the course, there's things I'm going to teach you, but I brought up, Kurt. I'm like, Kurt's going to be far better at explaining a lot of this than I am. And we have other people helping out as well that are very skilled, which is, it is nice hanging out with very skilled, very well-trained, alphas. It is nice because they're always, everyone around me is an asset at all times. And it's been a pleasure working with you guys on this.
So let's talk about the landscape of this for those that are not familiar with the Academy. So the way this functions is we have actual attendance courses that you can go to, and the seats are very limited. Aron screens and vets everybody that comes. So when they come out, let's use for an example, there's only 20 guys that get to come to a backpacking or a land navigation or whatever type bushcraft course it is. what we have is we have a full staff that is documenting everything and putting it on YouTube and Patreon. And what the intent here is that for the majority of people that can't attend, you can go into YouTube and you can get some of the pearls of wisdom, or you can go to Patreon and you can buy the whole package and see the whole thing that's going on. Where we think this is huge is if you look at the staff we've built, if you look at the environment that the classes are being taught and everything, you may have a career, a job, a life that just doesn't free you up to go do this, but you can still participate and see it and be part of it. And when you pitch this to me, I'm like, this is genius, because in the world of YouTube and everything right now, people can play, listen, watch, apply, go back. It's not a use it, lose it. I didn't hear what he said. I mean, it's recorded. It's there for eternity for you. I think it's a genius concept. And it's, again, we're just launching it off right now. But as I always like to say, stand the fuck by, because within 6 months, this is going to be that, how do I get in this thing?
Well, and when you look at, I'm going to fly fishing because I've been fly fishing a bunch earlier. There's information that I need that I don't know. The way my brain works, I Google and look and I fuck around with it and figure it out. But how nice would it be if I can hit one button and everything is there, and not just fly fishing. So when I talked about home defense, do you want a shotgun? Do you want a pistol? How do you clear when I say clear a room, these guys have cleared lots of rooms, but how do you do that at home? How does a housewife do that? Okay, now moving on. Land nav. If my phone goes down, whatever, how do I use a map and a compass to get somewhere? High angle shooting. If I with a bow or a gun and I have a 48-degree angle shot at 72 yards, what do I set my sight to, and how do I make that shot? How do I set my bow up? And many, many other things, like primitive fire building to, more up to speed fire building gear. What tent do I use? What sleeping bag? What sleeping pad? What headlamp? Why do I need that headlamp? What layering system do I need for an elk hunt? That's a lot of shit to suck in. And we're going to offer to teach you all that. So, right. I mean, if I wanted to go clear a room tomorrow, am I going to YouTube that shit and get it right? Probably not. Right. I can learn some things. And when I say that, home defense, or I could call professionals and you could teach me. That's the idea behind this. Sign up, come out, and we'll teach you everything you need to know.
Yeah, I mean, it's the situational awareness. We even talked about even the medical side and doing some, triage and treatment when you're out in the field, what you can use. There's a million videos and ways to do everything, but I think with the cadre we're putting together, it's guys that have done it and have done it multiple times real world, which is, I think, what carries weight. It's amazing how many people are out there right now that are sensations on Instagram, and you start to look into their background and you're like, how is anybody listening to this person? Like, they've never done this for real. It's theory to them.
Yeah.
So that's what I like. And that's where I think bringing Kurt in and having you in, and a lot of other our cadre that we're bringing in. I mean, every single one of our cadre either comes from a very elite military soft background or is an elite hunter outdoorsman. And I think that's the way to have it, right?
No, it is to me. And the thing that kind of the beauty of, of all of this, again, is like at the end of every, class, we bring it full circle. You have that final task that we can prove to you that you've learned what that may be. And you have someone with the highest level of skills to assess that and talk to you about it. When I say that, meaning even if it's primitive fire building, right? Whatever it is, at the end of it, you're going to be tasked to do something in a shitty environment. And then we're going to watch you and assess you and then, reteach you. So, I mean, yeah, I'm very excited about this. And I don't think that people probably realize, and Kurt, you could probably chime in on this, everything is fine until it's not fine. And when it's not fine is when you look back later and think, could I have saved him? Could I have done, could I have hit that animal? Could I have saved myself from being lost for 4 hours? Whatever. Right. And so we want to get you prepared before you're at that point.
Yeah. And I think that's essential, because the time to learn how to treat something, do something, or act on something is not in the moment. Right. It's to have a little basis in it. So yeah. I got a fun Kurt story. I met Kurt. I was just thinking about the archery. So it had to be at least 10 years ago. And we were setting up a urban trip in Dallas. And I have a good buddy out there that I introduced Kurt to, who is a SWAT officer. And this guy is...
Can we shout him out?
Yeah, shout him out.
Steve Dollar.
Steve Dollar.
Steve Dollar.
Steve Dollar, Arlington SWAT. What a man. So Steve and I were good friends, and we were, but I introduced these two together, and these two just became like blood brothers. And the next thing I know, they're in Steve's wood shop, and he's hand making a recurve bow with Steve.
It was a long bow, so it was a self bow.
Yeah.
What in the industry is what it's called. Basically, whittling a bow from a single stave of Osage, which is more like, for my first attempt at making a bow, an Osage bow is one of the hardest woods to work, because you make one nick into like the next grain of growth, like that bow can be fucked, or it's going to be weaker than what you intended. So it's really hard to work that wood. But Steve was such an amazing teacher, and he brought me out there, and we spent 3 days making this bow, and it was incredible.
Yeah, these two pop out, and they've done this, and I'm like I guess Steve's not my friend anymore.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. One of the coolest things I discovered out of the academy. So when we first started the academy, this was an outdoor thing. And then we started talking about it. We're like, no, this can cross-pollinate, and this can be outdoor and tactical. And I will say it's leaning heavily on outdoor because this is Aron's project and where we have it. But we're infusing some tactical, like we're going to do some situational awareness things for women, home defense, things like that. But one of the coolest things I think we discovered in putting this all together was how many of the same tools that we use on the tactical side are being used on the outdoor side. And it's interesting to me because then there's a lot that have nothing to do with each other. But where we figured this out from the business aspect was like working with collaborating brands, sponsors, whatever you want to call them. We were trying to figure out, for our podcasts, for the academy, like who do we want to work with? And we had a real merge in the middle there. And obviously when it comes to firearms, that was pretty easy, bolt guns and things like that. But I mean, there's a whole nother topic we could talk about one day down the road about tactical and outdoor, where the equipment is the same. And oh, by the way, us as an apparel company, we see that as we're building stuff, don't we?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, Kurt, something we intended to be an outdoor item, all of a sudden the tactical guys are Frontier 2.0 light.
Yeah.
Our primary light pant.
Your op pant.
And our op pant. Right now, we have as many guys hunting in our op assault pant, and we have as many cops wearing our Frontier 2.0 light. It's user preference, right? But what did we learn? Well, we don't care. Yeah. As long as you like what we're building, we'll keep building it.
What did I ask earlier? I'm like, hey, can we put a hood on the op top? Because for busting brush and fly fishing and covering your head in the sun, the reinforced arms are great for busting brush. And so it is, quite, I mean, there is a lot of parallels in both. And
when you come up with the name, what was the name for this thing?
The Shadowcast.
The Shadowcast.
That's some shit from
throwback to the river.
The river runs through it. Well, it's funny when you get into something new and like parallels or whatever. Like I've started fly fishing recently, all the different parallels into hunting or whatever. But then you're also, as you're learning, like when I say learning the fishing side of it, you're also looking at me. The way my brain works is, man, we got to do that on the hunting side, informational, like, we should be doing this or whatever if I'm watching things. And so, I mean, when you talked about situational awareness, farthest thing technically you could get away from hunting, what does situational awareness have to do with hunting in an urban environment? Well, it actually has quite a bit to do with it because it's very important. And the thing that I'm learning, and I'm trying to always have my ears open, whether it's friends of mine, girls, or whatever else, when you talk about the situational awareness side of things, which is off the subject, but when you have a sticker that you have a family, and then you have a sticker that you have somebody in high school sports, you've just told the world that you're probably gone on Friday from your home because you've got somebody playing a sporting event and you have a ton of kids in your house. That's situational awareness, right? In one level of it. Do you think anybody would ever guess to even think about that in today's world without somebody telling them, like, that's bad?
No, and I'll go one further on that because I see it all the time. My spouse drives a very high end car, and you can watch when it's parked alone. You can see people looking at the vehicle. I can see her walking out there with a nice purse, and I am dialed in 10 steps behind her, looking at the crowd. She's dialed in getting to her car. So that, that's something I correct. I'm like, hey, you need to look at the environment, what's out there, looking at those things. There's a lot of bad people out there. You don't have to go through the world that way, but I'll tell you, once you have situational awareness, you see the accident before it's going to happen. You see the bad deal before it's going to happen. What is the rule? Nothing good happens after midnight. If you really dive deep into that, it's actually a saying, unless you're in Vegas, it's actually a saying worth happening, right?
Yeah. So, what's the other one? No good story started with a salad.
That's right.
Yeah. But you're right, though. And when I say that, I mean, I don't pretend to be tactical, and I want to make sure people understand. I mean, I was in the military, but like, it isn't very important for people to understand. And I drive people crazy with this. I can't remember to pay a bill, but I'll know everyone in a room. You know, it was ingrained in me from people like you and other people like to constantly be paying attention. It's no different in the outdoors. You need to be very well of your surroundings. And so we're going to be able to teach you that. And that's very well-rounded and something I've never seen done before. And as you brought up in the beginning of this specific part of the conversation, we had a ton of companies that were very supportive of what we're doing, which has been, great. And, you bring this up to somebody like Montana Knife.
Yep.
We talked to Josh, we let him know, like, this is what we're going to be doing. And he's like, man, that's amazing. And a couple of his employees had asked me like, hey, when you do the class on kind of situational awareness, females, can we come to that? And then, there's other companies obviously that we work with as well that we're very much on board, because you can go to a long range shooting course. You can go to REI, I guess, and do a land nav course. You can go to a pro shop and go to an archery course. But I know of no one that is doing all of those, potentially at one time.
No, you're right. And I think people that have spent time around us, like I'll just give you an example, between Western Hunt and SHOT Show, brands like Grizzly Coolers, Montana Knife, Gators, Viking Armament bolt guns, Night Force optics, Huxworth suppressors. And this is just off the top of my head. All of them have done what? Approached us about, how do we get involved in the academy? How do we get involved with Born Primitive? We want to do content with you. We want to work with you. We want to brand with you. And there's a reason, because they see what we're doing and they believe in it. And I believe the whole reason has nothing to do with our core mission of selling apparel. I think it has to do with the fact of the people we have involved in selling and making and developing the apparel and how we're applying it and teaching. I mean, I honestly think that if it was just a bunch of freaking, New York lab rats making the exact same pants, this brand would be going nowhere. That's just me.
And I mean, throwing a shout out to some of these companies, like Gators is the first one. I did not have polarized Gators. And so can I say the guy Scott?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So Scott, he's like, hey dude, how come you're not wearing, whatever Gators when you're fly fishing? I'm like, oh, I need polarized glasses. He's like, all right, what do you want? Done. Sent him out, far better than what I had before. And I'm not just saying this because we're on the podcast, but he also reached out, not because he wanted to help, right? He's like, hey, so then vision. I'm like, dude, I'm blind as a bat. Can you make these into vision glasses? And I mean, I couldn't tell Kurt from Bruno from here without my contacts or glasses. And so he went above and beyond, called me, figured out my prescription, was like, dude, these are the best glasses for the issues you have with your eyes, and got the prescription. And I mean, when I say that, like, he didn't have to do that. And he certainly, I don't know how much he's going to benefit from me looking like a tactical Harry Potter, but I need those glasses. Like, I need them. And then Montana Knife the same way. He had a knife come out for fishing. He reached out, whatever, Grizzly Coolers. I had too big of a cooler I was putting on the back of my raft. He called and was like, hey man, let's get you a smaller cooler for the back of that raft. It'll help, as far as buoyancy or whatever. All the companies have been like that, working with us, not just wanting to get product on our hand, but watching what we're doing and getting the right product and trying to help us.
Yeah, we've actually run into a problem, and it's unfortunately, this falls on my shoulders, is we're trying to brand align with premium brands, and there's some really good brands out there. And what I don't want to do is be a prostitute and be representing 10 of the same category and stuff like that. So we're having to pick and choose. And we're doing that based on relationships and based on their product, how we view it, and working with it. And I'll say it. There was another cooler I used for years, and Grizzly was put in my hands. And I started looking at the construction and durability and price point of this. And I'm like, how did I not know about this cooler? And then I realized, well, they're really big in the outdoor community and they're not in the tactical community. So I reached out to them. I'm like, we're going to make you big in the tactical community because I don't think people know about these coolers and they're ballistic. And those guys, I mean, they'll do anything for us.
What's crazy? So I ordered one of those desert plunges, which is a Grizzly 450.
It's the big 450,
and it's a plunge. Yep. So Desert Plunge and Grizzly, got together. I mean, this is talking about above and beyond. Jake from Grizzly knew I had torn my calf muscle, had knee surgery, and basically beat the shit out of myself for 48 years of my life, and was like, "Hey, man, get a hold of Desert Plunge. Talk to them. They make a cold plunge."
Yep.
Called Desert Plunge and talked about the issues I'm having, and I ordered one. That is amazing for companies you deal with because they're not just calling you, asking you for content. They're trying to help you.
They're trying to help.
That's pretty amazing.
For what it's worth, when I knew you had one, I called Jake and I'm like, we'd really like one of those at the headquarters. So we've got ours en route. So, and Born Primitive, we're such an athletic brand. We have so many athletes here. It's something cool because we have a system at our gym, at our company gym, but we don't have one here at the headquarters. So Grizzly Desert Plunge is going to hook us up. And the fun part about it is we do a lot of team building, fun content. So they'll win from it. We'll be doing workouts out back there and we'll be plunging. And I know Bear will weigh in and Bear will be like, "Bruno, I can go longer than you." And I'll be like, "No, you can't." And we'll both try and kill each other in that damn cold plunge, but we're going to go for it. So.
Oh yeah, no. And I get, again, I was very, when the dominoes fell, things fell into place very well, meaning my partnership with you guys and Born Primitive, who you guys are, what your backgrounds are, the companies that we're dealing with have been super supportive. Anyway, it's all fell into place. And I'm really excited, not to, talk more about the academy, but like when we, talking about all these different things, we're doing a backpacking course in April, for example. So if you ever wanted to learn, how to backpack hunt, you can sign up and I'm just going to take you backpacking, right? We're just going to go backpack in and I'm going to explain, what we're doing, how I backpack hunt, the gear needed, right? And one of the things that made me think of that is like coolers. Well, what the hell do you do with the meat once you've killed something, right? Where's it go? What cooler, what size do I need? Where's it go? Which was why Grizzly was, great to deal with. And then how do I cut up the animal? Montana knife, obviously, on the hunting side, how do I break down the animal, things like that? And then, there's obviously a ton of SIG with optics, and different things. What do I need for bear protection? Do I need a 9mm for grizzlies? What do I need?
Oh, you're asking me?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. What do I need?
I would say for most people, a 9mm would probably be insufficient just based on stress level. Like the round itself could do the work you need to do as long as shot placement was there. So
what if you're just spraying and praying?
I would say no.
Good for you, buddy.
You probably need a little bit more power than that.
Can I inject in here?
Yeah.
Because we've actually had Ruger calling us.
Yeah.
So for me, and I just want to throw it straight out there, of the three guys in this room, I am the most inexperienced hunter. I've got my elk, I've got some whitetail, but that's about it. However, every hunt I've ever gone on, I have strapped a Ruger Alaskan on me, which is a 454 Cthulhu wheel gun.
Yeah, that's a big one.
But I'll tell you right now, because most of the hunts I've been on have either been horseback, ATV, and I thought if I get thrown by a horse because of a fucking mountain lion or a bear, or I wreck the ATV and something's coming to eat me and I can't shoulder a rifle, I'll get this fucking pistol up. And that 454 Cthulhu is going to do the job.
Oh yeah.
It's funny when you talk about Ruger. I did some hood rat shit when I was a kid, and anybody that is a good hunter that I know of that started early probably shot some shit they shouldn't have. Blue jays, I don't know, you pick it, swallows with a BB gun. But that, I guarantee, generally switched to a Ruger 1022.
Oh yeah.
That is literally one of those weapons that stands the test of time. That is a weapon that I get for anyone that is getting into hunting because they can just blink. I have two Ruger 1022s at my house because they are, I'm trying to think. That was 1990. I got my first Ruger 1022, and the amount of shit I shot with that should have been illegal, and I guarantee was. But literally, Ruger has been around they're an amazing company.
So I'm trying to think.
Can you shoot red-tailed hawks with a Ruger 1022? I didn't. I'm just checking.
He didn't. Disclaimer. So I went from a Craftsman BB gun to a Ruger 1022 and then a Ruger single 622 to learn how to shoot pistols as well.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I started out on the Ruger side as well too. And that was a running joke because when I first started shooting, I am right eye dominant.
Yeah.
But I write and eat with my left hand.
Mm-hmm.
So my dad, who was a big hunter, was having me shoulder the rifle on the left side when I was a young kid and I couldn't hit shit.
Yeah.
And he was getting ready to fucking disown me because his son can't shoot. And I literally yelled at him. And this is like 9 years old.
Yeah.
I'm like, let me just do it my way, Dad.
Yeah.
And I shouldered it to the right side and was just swaylaying the target. And he's like, what is going on here? I don't know why I did it. I just know it felt more natural. And then as I went on in years, I learned I had a dominant eye.
Yeah.
And it was one of those things that I always used to my advantage because people would see me write and eat with my left. And we'd talk shit at a range on a pistol. And I'd be like, well, I'll shoot offhand. And I'll shoot offhand and beat you, which they thought I was a lefty. And I would shoot right-handed and I'd smoke them and win. And they didn't know that was my primary shooter.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, even that, when you talk about that, and this is like your eye dominance, most people don't even know how to check if you're left or right eye, dominant or whatever, that's a funny story. But I mean, like with Ruger and whatever weapons in general, like that is something that if you have a spouse that wants to get into shooting, a gun. And by the way, anybody listening, I would strongly suggest do not try to teach your wife shit. Like send them to a professional, right? It doesn't go well when it's a husband-wife, dynamic. But, the Ruger 1022, that's the best thing to put somebody on to throw some rounds down range to get used to, everything from just comfort, target acquisition or whatever else. And that's another thing, whatever, we're kind of rambling on here, but target acquisition is a huge thing for guys, getting your client on the target.
The first two things I always teach, fucking muzzle awareness and trigger awareness.
Yeah.
Because I think every time I'm trying to show somebody how to shoot, the muzzle or barrel and their trigger finger is what scares me more than anything. So I always start there. I'm like, let's talk about what will hurt somebody.
Right. Yeah. So. No, I mean, and honestly, like as somebody who I've guided a bunch, I don't use the safety because I don't put a round upstairs. And when we're going in on a stock, and this is something I've always done, I put a round upstairs and I leave the bolt up because I can watch them drop the bolt and know exactly that, okay, we're ready to roll now. I will not use a safety guiding. And when I say that, because a round will never go upstairs until we're ready to shoot, because it's dangerous, right? And I've just about been shot. I've had guys lay the weapon down on an animal for a photo, grab it, and a round go off. And so it's, for me, I don't use a safety. And people listening, probably you're crazy, but I don't use a safety because there's not a round upstairs. But that's part of this course, like you're talking about, like the different courses we teach. And one of the things I do, like on stalking, when you're going on an animal with a rifle, is when nobody's looking, I'll dial your scope up to 24 power to see if when you're going on the stalk, are you smart enough to check to, dial back? Because those are, again, situational awareness, knowing what's going on, knowing what to do. I'm going way off the deep end here, but there's a lot there to learn. On the safety side of things, like, as far as the trigger control, with all of your, backgrounds, how often have you seen that an issue? Like, has that been something, especially with newer guys?
Should I do the bear story with your gun?
I mean, well, my gun is a little bit of a unique case.
So Kurt has a
custom built 300 Win Mag.
It's a custom built 300 Win Mag, and we were on a range in Virginia. And what we're trying to do is pair firing, me on my 300 Win Mag and Bear on Kurt's 300 Win Mag. And we had, I don't know, 4 or 5 rounds in a row leave the pipe when somebody wasn't ready.
Yeah.
Because the trigger was just not something. And I just got flustered and I looked over and I said, Kurt, get in the gun.
Yeah. What was it, like a 1 pound trigger pull?
I have no idea
light,
how much weight it is. It's very light.
Yeah, very light.
But if you're not used to that and you're used to,
yeah, I mean, full disclaimer for Bear, he wasn't. I mean, we literally said jump on this gun. I mean, I'm trying not to throw him under the bus. Like I think if I'd gotten on that gun, there might have been a round come out of it too. but I might have learned after the first two.
Dude, I can tell you, I've got a 1 pound trigger pull on all 3 of my like long guns.
Yeah.
And the first thing, if I have somebody going to shoot an animal, I have to warn them, because if they're shooting some older piece of shit or even like a standard platform, some type of an AR, you know, it's a 4 to 7 pound trigger pull on a lot of those, where mine's like 1 pound or slightly under.
Right.
They go to dig into the trigger and there's a round flying off in the buckwheat, and they're not ready. They do to get a surprised round down range for their surprise shot.
There's something to be said about every different gun, the way it shoots. We recently were out at Staccato Vegas, and we were doing an event. It was the range day for SHOT Show. And I honestly, we're starting a business collaboration with Sons of Liberty Gun Works. And I had never shot any of their ARs before. And I'd heard they're sweet. And I know that in some of the military selections, they're doing extremely well. But what amazed me more than anything was on an AR platform was the lack of recoil. We were shooting EOTech optics, and we were shooting in a sandstorm at some longer ranges. We were, probably 100, 150 yards, whatever. And literally the optic would not come off target on the recoil. You stayed right on. And I'd never felt that kind of minimal recoil and smoothness to stay. I mean, that second round could have been as fast as you wanted to pump it because you were still on the target.
Yeah.
So have they done something right there. But again, if you've never shot that specific platform, that first mag for me on any gun is learning the gun, okay, now I'm ready to shoot. So,
yeah, I mean, I can't even count how many ARs. And when I went there, I talked to them. I was like, how much better could an AR be? Like, everybody's talking about this gun that you guys made. I think it was called the Mark I. Like, how much, it's an AR. Like, how much better could you be to shoot? We know, especially, if you're listening, that, and you've shot 5.56 AR-15s, how minimal the recoil is relatively on those. And when I got on that gun and I was sending rounds down range, it was so smooth. I turned around and I was like, yeah, I see now. Like this thing's pretty sweet.
Yeah, man. I mean, the setup they had, to me, between EOTech optic, the HOTWASH suppressor, and that gun, I looked at Kurt and I said, we just found our platform. Yeah. I mean, talk about smooth, man. Are you smooth? Are you giving me some more hooting young?
I am.
This podcast is getting ready to go sideways.
Oh yeah, definitely. Speaking of, hold on, Hux. So I recently, suppressor wise, which is the more and more you guide is very important. If your client can have a suppressor, because you're going to go deaf like I am, it's not good. Hux has been another Hux work. Me personally, like I can't quantify it exactly, but I guarantee I've lost 15 to 20% of my hearing from guiding. And when I say that, from muzzle brakes, and it's not, hey buddy, I've got a kid with me. Let me know when you're going to shoot. I'm going to plug, boom. And I'm deaf. So a suppressor is a very, very important thing to get for your rifle, but they've been amazing to deal with. And I mean, can we talk about what we're,
yeah. So, and obviously when this airs, we'll probably be a little further down the road. So we'll start off with the relationship with Hux. So first of all, the guy, Jesse, Vinny, Tyler, all those guys, Kim, they're amazing to work with as a business. But what sold me was we actually did a test shoot. And I think the only way to validate the can is to have other cans right there with you. And what we were doing was shooting from inside a vehicle. And what they were trying to show me was not just the audible signature, but the actual force coming back on the body versus being projected forward. So, they're doing 3D titanium cans that instead of everything coming back on the operator, it's going forward and away from you. So yes, the audible signature was better. Yes, the length of the can was shorter, which is something I'm always, shorter, lighter wins every time, right? But when you don't have that effect coming back on you and it's going away from you, when guys like Kurt and I are getting treatment from sources outside the VA, from, decades of blast injury and between whether it's charges or whether it's guns or for me, mortars and all that shit. Everything matters right now. So not only do they have, and again, HOTWASH is a safety company. So they have a can that's lighter, smaller, quieter, and reduces the impact on the body to the shooter. So why wouldn't we try it? So we started shooting their cans, and personally, I have probably, 8 or 10 of them now. I have every single caliber Hux can for my personal collection. Born Primitive, we shoot Huxworth cans here. And that leads into what we started out at Western Hunt. Something we're doing that is, I think, going to be amazing is Aron is working with Hux on designing a Hux hunting can that is going to be state of the art. And I'm going to have you tell the story, but this is what I thought was cool. We had what was a business meeting, and the business meeting was not them telling you what a great company they are. It was, what do you want? How do we build it? You want to talk about it? Yeah.
And I'm an archer, for the most part, but obviously I do shoot a gun quite a bit, especially when I'm guiding. And so they literally asked me, what do you want exactly? Tear it down. What's the most important? So I talked about, okay, weight is a big one. Obviously noise reduction is a big one. The length of the can is a big, anyway, I listed all these things off and they're like, okay, we're going to build X, Y, Z. We're going to send that out to you to test out. Obviously other people as well. And it wasn't one of those things where it was, as you say, a sales pitch. They didn't talk about shit. Like, they didn't tell me anything about how good they were. It was more like, we'll just send it to you and you'll know, and then again, they were, eyes wide open to, hey, let's build this perfectly for backcountry hunters, my demographic, my crew, to make it the best, can that you could possibly make for backpack hunting. And, we're working on it now, which I'm excited about. And again, as a bow hunter, I have obviously like a background in hunting, and it doesn't have that much to do with, suppressors. As a guide, it's very, very important, right? And when I would say that, not just for me, my clients, right? The one thing I can tell you, no matter what anybody says, target anticipation is a problem, whether that be from noise or also recoil. And you can dial somebody in at a very 250 meters and they can miss by feet because of target anticipation, and a can is a huge part of that. It helps because of the noise.
Yeah. I the one thing I also, we've actually gotten so close to them that we actually share boots with them at times and do a lot of stuff. And again, we're an apparel company, but it's one of those things that when you find a like business, and it starts with their CEO. He actually used to be the CEO of an apparel brand, and a major apparel brand. And he moved over, he was with Beyond.
Yeah.
And then he moved over and Rick Elder, and he is the CEO of Huxworth. And he is the one that took a good suppressor company and took a business plan and took them to the front. And the fruit of it, without going into details, is they have just recently won quite a few awards to some of the more elite units as their cans, which at the end of the day, to me, if you look at organizations that do very, very difficult shoot-offs and equipment procurement tests, if they win those and you have those type of units going to them, that's gold compared to me endorsing them. That's like the unit saying, fuck yeah, we're using this can now. That should be end of story, drop the mic.
Yeah. And it is beside the point. They also helped us set up our booth. You want to talk about good people.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot. Yeah.
They did come out. They didn't have to do that. They came over and helped set up the booth. They're just good people over there. And, when you look at relationships, which is, I think, relationships are everything, whether that be, personal relationships, business. And when you have a company that makes a great product, arguably one of the best, and they're also willing to pull their sleeves up and do, whatever, open-minded and open arms of working together, making a better product. You can't really ask for more than that. And all the companies that we're dealing with, we haven't had to sell out, I guess is what I'm saying. There hasn't been one company that we haven't wanted to deal with that hasn't been open.
No, and I don't think we will. I think the one thing, just for the record, that Aron owns the outdoor world, with the Born Primitive brand. So we are not going to work with a company that he doesn't endorse and feel comfortable with. He has that final say. Same with ambassadors. If we have an ambassador or we're working with a brand, it's because Aron approved it. And I retain that right on the tactical side. And it's amazing how many ambassadors and collaborating brands or companies that we are mutually agreeing on because they cross the spectrum. And I want to back up to something you said that I think is important, relationships. So I'm going to get on a little bit of a soapbox here, but probably the most important thing I realized, and I've been in private sector now for 2 years. And after, 3 decades of active duty and 10 years as a government civilian, the one thing I learned is when I left that world, I left whatever you want to call it, the national mission, the mission becomes before the people. And the philosophy I run now at Born Primitive, and it's winning, is relationships become primary for me. So if you ask anybody on my team, ask them how many times I say, look, folks, we're not doing fucking hostage rescue. We're building apparel, and I say that to contrast it with the most important thing I have is people and my team. We will build the business by having that structure. And I think that people and relationships in business are the most important thing. So if I'm working with a partner brand, if I'm working with anybody in this brand, they're family to me, it's sincere, and everything else after that is secondary. And I don't think a lot of people are doing that in life. And that's why I think we as a brand are booming.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I mean, you guys obviously with your backgrounds, like family and team, and it's everything. And when I say everything, like at the end, when you're in your lowest part of the, your life, and you're in a slump and you're whatever, all you've got is the people around you. And that's very important. And I, both of you have been great for me, recently, obviously changing and everything else in my life or whatever. It's been great to hang out with people with that same mindset. And you're right. I don't think there's not most brands are after the dollar, not after the family, not after the relationship.
Yeah, this is something I've been sitting on this for a while, just thinking about it, but you really touched on it. The relationship piece is kind of leads into the key of why we're doing what we're doing with the Academy. But building a relationship is not only something that we look forward to with other brand partners. It's something we look forward to with our customers. I think a lot of brands out there, everybody is trying to push a product. And some people just get too front sight focused on saying, hey, we really need to sell this product. Let's put that in the forefront of our motivation for engaging our customers. Whereas we're kind of taking an opposite approach, not only with our brand partners, with like, hey, we have a badass product. It's like, yeah, the product speaks for itself. But what we have is a great team with a lot of solid people with a lot of exceptional experience that you're not really going to get at any other company. We're making good products, but really what we're trying to do is tell a badass story. We're trying to build relationships, and we're trying to transfer the knowledge, the wealth of knowledge that we have onto our customers. I think a lot of companies get bogged down with like, hey, we just need to push products, sell. And that kind of distracts them from like, hey, what are we doing to give back to our customers? And I think a lot of people try to go and say, hey, we're going to give back to charities and things like that. So it's like, what are you doing with mentoring the next generation of hunters coming up, or mentoring the next generation of the guy who's going to be on the next special operations team or whatever it is, or the first responder who's going to save a life. So I think that's kind of what really sets us apart, and what really is the driving motivational factor in setting up these academies. Like, knowledge by itself is kind of useless, because if you never share that knowledge, you're going to die with it, and it's going to die with you. People can try to mimic you and you look at what you did and recreate it, but it's never going to be the same as when you're sitting in front of them and like teaching them and answering questions and catering to maybe some of the issues that they have in their life, or some of the medical conditions that they have that they're dealing with, and try to cater things toward them to allow them to be more receptive to it. And it's a lot of the reason why we have, I mentioned earlier, while Aron and I work really well together, we complement each other. That complementary like nature also applies to the teaching aspect, because there's going to be people in that audience that we're going to be giving these instructions to, are going to listen to something that Aron says, and it's like, it just doesn't click. And maybe something that I say is going to be, holy fuck, like that makes more sense. So just having a broad range of instructors or, you know, individuals who have a wealth of knowledge that kind of like display that knowledge in a manner that's more receptive to those people is really the benefit of what we're giving out of the academy specifically. But it's also what I think a lot of brands see in us. And they're like, wow, these are a lot of like really down to earth dudes who have a wealth of knowledge, relatively humble, I think, and really got to get after it. And they're not afraid to kind of push the boundaries and just kind of push the limits.
No, you nail it. So I'm going to do something fun here. I'm going to give you two a nickname. So when Afghanistan kicked off, right, I was flight leading the MH-47, and I didn't go anywhere without the gunships, which were our direct action penetrators, the DAPs. So we got nicknamed in Afghanistan, peanut butter and jelly. I think that's you two. I think you two are peanut butter and jelly.
What am I? Peanut butter or jelly?
I don't know, but you two. So let me just, and the reason I say it is you have to know that Kurt's role here at BP was something way different than it is before you came in the picture, Aron. And when I say you come in the picture, I'm talking about November when me and Kurt flew out to Wyoming and inked the deal of you moving over to Born Primitive. What I saw in that 3 or 4 day fucking planning fest where we worked 18 hours a day to decide how we were going to bring you to our brand, how we were going to do this, the landscape for the academy and moving
strategy
forward,
behind everything.
Strategy.
Yeah.
I mean, I honestly, I told Kurt when I left that 4 days at your house in Wyoming, I felt like we were planning an op overseas because we were that detailed and we never stopped. Even at dinners, we kept working. But when I left there watching you two together, I said to myself, eventually Kurt's role is going to be full-time academy. Because the passion you two share and the knowledge experience you two share, you offset each other. What he doesn't have, you have, and what you don't have, he has. So when we put the two of you together, I mean, honestly, I personally, if I was somebody that was just like, didn't know anything about Born Primitive and was out there and I knew you two guys, I'd be like, I don't give a fuck what they're teaching. I'm going to go to this course because the knowledge base, you two have a passion to transfer it. It's not they're going to show up at something and be like, hey, you're going to spend the next 8 hours hearing how great I am. It's going to be, hey, this is who I am. Let's get to work. And I love that. So,
yeah. And there's a lot of courses out there that are pretty much exactly what you talked about, where when you go talk to someone about whatever, when you go to a course or a school and someone is, doing their presentation, it's really more of a, hey, I'm going to talk for a little bit and then I'm going to sell you my shit. And that's what you learn in that course, where we're not selling you anything but knowledge. We're not there to, sell you a scouting thing or sell you a fitness thing or whatever. We're selling you on come to the course because we are going to make you better at everything you do that's applicable to this course.
Yeah. Even a product, like we're an apparel brand. We need to sell product in order to exist. But this kind of goes back to, let's say, the Western Hunting Expo that's in Salt Lake City every year. For the past 2 years that I've been there, well, really 3 years now, I've always gotten the question. Somebody's always come up to me and was like, hey, I have only this X amount of money to spend on gear. What should I buy? And like, that's all I have. My first response is always like, not like, oh, hey, these pants are really sexy. Like, you should buy these. It's always like, okay, well, you have a limited budget. I understand that. What do you have currently and why is it insufficient? And I'll have them like talk me through that. And I'll say, okay, there's what you have will work for you. I know it's very tempting to just go out and buy product. That's the easiest answer. People are always willing to just spend money on new products to get them to another level. But what they lack is training in using that product. So I always tend to push people to getting more training and getting more knowledge, because as you build that wealth of knowledge, you can do more with the little amount of gear that you have. And you can actually start reducing the weight that you carry. You can start reducing the amount of stuff that you take. So cube space opens up in your pack, and it just kind of expands your aperture to a point where, okay, I may not have the most sexy pair of pants that are on the market right now to go backcountry hunting, but maybe these, Levi jeans that I have right now will be good enough for what I need to do until I can get to the point where I can, afford to replace those. But I always push people to getting more knowledge. Go learn tactical first aid, go learn first responder courses. Medical is something that's often overlooked extensively. So I would always push people. You're always going to run into a medical scenario, whether that's dislocating your thumb on a hunt or, rolling an ankle or getting a laceration. You're going to need to stop the bleeding. So I always push people into medical training initially. And then it's like expand upon that, get some more land navigation or orienteering skills, get some more, primitive fire building skills, or just how are you going to control your core body temperature if you get completely soaked because you fell in a river and now you and your pack are completely soaked and it's like 30 degrees outside. So rewarming drills. So, and again, it's never about the product to us. Always, we work for an apparel company. It's always about the product in the end game. But when we're transferring that knowledge to the customer or even to the partners, it's like, hey, let's just do what we can to help the people out there. And those people are going to see that. They're going to say, hey, these guys are really, putting it out there. And not just trying to push a product on us so they can, increase their bottom line. They're really trying to help the community, and that will resonate with them and get them to buy the product in the end if they decide to go with it.
People appreciate that though. And I think that long game and short game, there's a short game, which is hard sell, buy our shit.
Yep.
The long game, hey, you don't need these pants, but maybe give it a tundra jacket or a barrier jacket. But then when you're teaching them, that's the long game, because then you're earning a customer, right, for life. Yep. And I feel strongly, and one of the reasons that I'm very, very happy and my stress levels have gone down is everyone that I work with here has the same ideologies, the same, vision. Is we're going to obviously sell apparel. We're going to, promote our products, but really we're also going to try to make, the world's going to shit anyway. We're going to try to make a human, a better human, and a good human, a great human, and a great human, as good as you can possibly get them in whatever we have at our hands to teach.
So quick things. First of all, what Kurt said, the medical stuff, if you're not carrying like a med kit in your vehicle and stuff like that, you're a fail, because your family, yourself, auto accidents, fucking, all these things that happen day to day, you can never say, whoops, I wish I'd have done that. And that's something I believe in. I believe in basic first aid, and life saving is the one skill that you cannot compromise on. The customer and the stuff. Let me tell you what I tell everybody in my team. We get, and this is semi-annoying, but we get attacked daily by people wanting free shit. Especially the self-perceived Instagram famous people. Hey, I'll wear your stuff because I have, 100,000 followers. Hey, great. Here's the website. But what I do is everybody that we approve to send gear to, my message is always the same. You send it to them. You tell them no strings attached. We want detailed feedback.
Yeah.
And the reason for that being is that if I'm sending it to you, you as the recipient, I value who you are and I value your feedback. Because the last piece of this is that if Kurt and I were to try and change every product based on the Instagram comments, based on the customer service inquiries, we would never have the same pant for longer than a week, because everybody wants something different.
Yeah.
What we have learned to do is listen to the right people. And when you have enough of the right people saying the same thing, it's time to make a change. So that's why I really value the people that are, and I'm never going to use the word industry, I'll say in the business, the actual operators, whether military or SWAT, the actual hunters that are actually out there getting after it and not just wanting to look cool in it. When they give us that feedback, and Kurt and I are like, okay, we've had 10 people tell us the same thing. We need to take a look at this, and we make a change. Because the one thing I have learned in the apparel industry, the assault pant, we can't keep them in stock. We're blowing them out. But if it's that same pant 2 years from now, I've probably failed, because I'm not listening to what needs to be changed to continue to move forward. And we actually are. We're already looking, what's the next version? What do we need to do? And we hear the customer. The biggest thing that I am trying to do right now is move as much of the brand outdoor and tactical to manufacturing with as much trade compliant US made fabric as I can, which is a major undertaking. Because if you don't like paying $209 for a pair of pants that I'm getting made in Asia, stand the fuck by for what it costs to made in the USA. But we're trying to do that, and it's not easy and it's difficult. But we hear everybody, and we're making the moves, and we're staying on top of it, and I lose sleep over it. But you've got to have a happy medium of, look, if you can't afford this $209 pair of pants, that, trust me, our margin is not what you think it is, then you do need to step down in quality. And you understand that when you step down in quality, you step down in capability. And it goes for the same thing with guns, optics. You know, the bottom of the line optic versus the top of the line optic is going to give you two different performances.
There's more to it than that. You're not just stepping down from maybe the capability, you're also stepping down from who you're buying from. And when I say that, if you're spending $39 on a, and I mean, if you can't afford it, I get it. I've been broke most of my life. If you're spending $39 on a Walmart pant, are you buying from a former, veteran-owned company? Are you buying from anybody that has a backbone? Are you buying from a sweatshop made overseas from the cheapest possible manufacturer alive that has nothing to do with anything that you stand for?
Right.
If you're paying $39 to $49, $59 for a pair of pants, you're probably, you're paying for a sweatshop. And people I don't think look at that very often, you know what I mean? And so that goes above and beyond, just being made in America. You're also supporting a company that's supporting American jobs and everything else, where I get it when you're cost effective or whatever else, but you're supporting absolutely nothing in the United States. And when I say that, absolutely nothing.
Yeah. And know the ethos of our co-founders and owners is that, we stand very strong on America, military, law enforcement, first responders, the flag, everything after that in politics, you guys can pick and choose. But that's who we do the give back to. That's who we are building the products for as much as possible. And we are trying to do it to where people get the best product made for the best price we can do. And as we transition the company into a position where we have more made in USA logos or not made in certain countries and stuff like that, understand that it is a major undertaking in the apparel world. If you don't understand where everything is being made, an example I'll give you, everybody wants to bitch about something, but while they're texting you and while they're freaking giving you the negative comments on Instagram, they're doing it on an iPhone made in China. Yeah, so what's the standard?
Right.
You know what I mean? What is the fucking standard out there? Well, go ahead and get your flip phone that's made here in the States and go ahead and post your comments and stuff like that. So they don't mind there, but they do mind here. So we're cognizant of it and we're working on it, and not to beat this to death, but I think the biggest thing you need to look at is ethos. And our ethos is, and we know where we stand, and the brand stands very clear that we are for America, we're a veteran-owned company, and that everything we are doing, that we are building something for a customer that wants to be associated with this brand ethos. And I think that stands strong.
Yeah, I mean, that's important. Like, the customers out there, if you listen to this, we hear you. We're moving in that direction, but we also need to be catering toward the customer who doesn't have a shit ton of money, who wants a very quality product. Not everybody can afford to pay $300 for a pair of apparel that costs us $200 to make just because it's made in the USA. It's just not cost effective in the long term. So we understand that. So we're going to be made, seeking out manufacturers in different countries that'll kind of lower that price point for some of those customers. And we're going to also have that price point that's available for customers who have a bit more of a budget. So it takes time. To your point, we've been at this for, I'd say, no less than a year and a half, trying to find the right manufacturers, the right textiles to kind of replace some of the things and kind of shift some of the stuff that we currently have over to some of those manufacturers. But it's just taking time, but we're making it work.
Yeah. I mean, we're launching right now. It's called our Trade and Berry compliant line, and it's catered to the U.S. government customer. But we have, in late October, we have our first release of multicam. all the fabrics, trims, zippers, every freaking component of that is a USA made product, and it's assembled in Nicaragua, which is a trade compliant. It's an American owned company. Those are going to be available on the website. Those are going to be available to pre-order. The reason that's important to know is that we are making that transition, and it's for the warfighter, for the SWAT cop, for the first responder, and everything else will follow suit on it. So, and we're actually pretty excited because I have 20 months skin in the game and flying around the world to find a textile company that could do it and a company that will manufacture it, and that you won't break the bank on doing it.
And it was difficult, not difficult. Obviously, when I came on board here, you had mentioned it's coming, right? But you read comments on, social or whatever, we paid ads that are like, hey, where's it made? Hey, you're a piece of shit, whatever. But rather than fighting that battle, winning solves every problem, right? And so showing them, knowing what was going on behind the scenes, meaning that you guys were doing everything you could to bring everything, back here, was good. Because there's not, people can talk all the shit they want online, but generally people are still going to Walmart, right? That's a fact. But some people it is very important to. And so you have given, well, I say you guys have given a lot of effort into, what'd you say, a year and a half? Yeah, to bring it back home. And that was one of the things we talked about.
I'm actually, not that I'm counting, I'm actually 20 months.
Almost 2 years.
Yeah. I mean, and other things that are going to be coming up soon that I think, one of the reasons I'm here, which we can't go into great depth, one of the other things is, we're working on other products that'll be, made here. So we're trying to bring things back rather than a lot of companies right now are going
the other direction.
And
if you look deep, even companies that had the label one day are not doing it anymore. And that's the skill of the American seamstress worker sew shop. It's virtually non-existent, especially when you're talking synthetics. Flannel, wool, cotton, very prevalent here. But when you get into performance fabric,
like technically sewn, like that's
the different freaking game. Yeah. So if you want your freaking t-shirt and stuff like that, game on. You can make socks and all that stuff here. But when you get into technical
do we want
apparel,
to tease what we're doing tomorrow?
Yes,
we got some exciting stuff happening.
I think we should wait. I don't want to stir up too much shit, but
we've got a very exciting day planned for tomorrow. There's something coming on the horizon, probably 2026 that I think you guys will be really excited for. It's in line with exactly this, and it involves being manufactured in a company that's native to Virginia Beach.
All I'm gonna say is, this is my patented phrase. This is an Aron Snyder led project. This is his passion. Stand the fuck by.
Yeah. Well, and I obviously there's all kinds of shit. Like anytime there was a dynamic change that I made recently in my life, there's always, whatever crap talked and rumors or whatever else. But it was a very easy and good decision for me to come work for you guys, partner up with, I talk to you every day on the phone. I talk to you every other day on the phone. And have the same vision, have the same ethos, bringing things back in the U.S. and focusing on, teamwork, relationships. Like it's been great. It's been awesome. And I mean, what we have going on tomorrow is another, building block in what we're about to create, whether that be the academy or clothing or other things. I mean, we're just moving forward. And I think in, 3 years, I think this company will be something that is a force to be reckoned with. I mean, even less than that. But you have to figure, like when people look at this, we have BP Main, CrossFit, right? Athletic clothing. We have BP Tactical. Then we have BP Outdoors. And then that is all growing step by step. And when I say that, there's no telling what we will be offering in 2026.
Yeah, there's no telling, but we know. So hey, I'll throw this out there, and you kind of let it. So soapbox again. There's 4 things that money can't buy, folks. It's time, it's family, it's health, and it's your reputation. I don't care how much money you have, those 4 things can't be bought. When you get to my age, approaching 60, time becomes a primary concern. When you work as much as I do, time becomes a primary concern. Family should always be the number one concern. It's been the root of evil for me for years because I am so consumed with work and mission and everything I've done. I let family go. And it's the alpha personality thing that I'm sorry, but I work on it every day. Health, you learn about it, right? Money doesn't buy you out of health. But let's talk about reputation. The three of us in this room, this brand and everything, that's where we stand. You can't buy it, so you have to earn it. So the one thing I'm going to say is that as long as I am in the seat, as long as I am the vice president over tactical and outdoor, our reputation will match my reputation or I won't be here anymore. It is to be upstanding. It is to not put the dollar before what we stand for. It is always to stand for it first and then put the dollar second. We're a business, but if you stand for things, the dollars will come. And I will never let that go as long as I'm here. And that's why I think you came to us.
Yeah, no, it is 100%.
Yeah.
I mean, but obviously both of you, we talked about this on the first podcast and, I don't do well when I'm not hanging out with one, alpha males. Like I have to hang out with alphas. Two, when you are building a team like we're building, it is good to, when you're like-minded, the future, the dynamic of the company, the big picture portion of it. And I'm having trouble putting this into words because
it's the whiskey.
That's probably not helping. We're almost done, by the way. We almost,
it's the whiskey.
It is very difficult to walk in. Is there any other company that I could have talked to that offers all of that? There's not. And I can say that without a doubt, whether that be the academy or the line, what we're adding to it, it's exciting, and I'm looking forward to the future. It's definitely something that when my buddies talk to me and everything else, when I'm trying to explain to them what's going on, they're like, "Good Lord, dude! Like, who'd you sign up with? That sounds like super busy. Like, that sounds bad." And I'm like, "No, dude, it's cool." So I'm excited.
So Aron has a fucking way overactive mind too.
Oh fuck!
The funny part is when I shoot a text at 5 o'clock in the morning on the way to the gym, and he's 2 hours behind me in the time zone, I get a reply in 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
You were going to say something, Kurt? What was it, brother?
No, I wasn't. Yeah.
Whiskey setting in good?
Yeah. The whiskey's making me feel good. I'm kind of loosening up now, so maybe we should have started the podcast.
No, it's good. There's no time limit on this. And from what the listeners I've talked to is if we're talking about something that means something, they want to keep hearing it. So Aron, one more thing I want to hit on with you while we got here. So again, this is super cool because we flew him in from Wyoming for a couple of business meetings. One that Kurt alluded to, if something we're doing in 2026, it's going to be badass that you guys are going to love. But let me hear, I mean, you run outdoor. I've told you run outdoor. I'm here to fucking give you the care and feeding and protect you. What do you see in the next 2 to 3 years? And I'm gonna give you a little bit of a segue. Include Mossy Oak Bottomland in your vision of the next 2 to 3 years.
So, I mean, I guess whatever you said, Bottomland. But for example, we are working on a whitetail line, right? So there's going to be clothing for whitetail hunters that is coming out. We have Mossy Oak Bottomland coming. We're expanding the standard, I would say, backpacking mountaineering line. And so I would say in the next 2 to 3 years, we are going to be, as far as the piece of the pie, that pie is growing much, much bigger. So we're going to have like more of an Arctic cold weather clothing, whitetail hunting clothing. We're going to have more mountaineering or backpack hunting, Western hunting type clothing. And then again, offering Bottomland. So the cool thing about here, like today, we had some product meetings, is they're very well thought out products, meaning we're not offering something just to make money. We're offering something that you need. And so the line is not going to be so convoluted and fucking confusing that you can't understand it. So we have, I think they're coming out soon. Like we have basically for example, full zip thermal bottoms, right? So the quiver and the ridgeline bottoms that you can zip off while you wear them. We have more of a whitetail Arctic cold weather jacket coming. We have more of a bow hunter jacket. Anyway, we have a lot of things coming as well as Bottomland. So I see in the next 2 years, one, we'll have a broader line, but two, we'll kind of solidify ourselves as a force to be reckoned with any company, for not just Western hunting, but also, diving into Midwest and back East as well.
Yeah, that allows us. I mean, we are able to be very creative with the stuff that we create. That sounded weird, but it's very purpose built.
Creative.
We're not just making a product, like you said, just to make money. Like it has an intention and serves a purpose. And the Mossy Oak Bottomland is a kind of a testament to that. Like we want to expand ourselves because a lot of people will only wear camo to go hunting because they believe that that's what they need or that is something that they require. So we're going to start to open it up, and we want a little bit of a different approach where it's like a lot of companies out there want to kind of prioritize their pattern, and they want to make a proprietary pattern to sell to you. And then they're going to spend a lot of ad money in marketing why this pattern is, way better than any other pattern in the market because the ungulate's eye can see certain shapes. And it's like I want to be able to offer products to customers that are what they need. So if right now a lot of customers really like the Bottomland pattern, for me personally, I don't like that pattern that much, but it's not about what I want. So I want to be able to say, in 20 years or 15 years or 5 years, somebody's like, hey, all the hunters are wearing tiger stripe. Like we want to be able to offer that and not be kind of stuck in this, proprietary pattern that kind of we have developed. So that's kind of, you're witnessing a TBI moment right now where I just lost my.
Let me help you out. Yeah, no, it happens.
Let me help you out.
We have woodland and tiger stripe now.
Yeah. So here's
exactly.
So here's the crazy part about that. So tiger stripes, the old jungle tiger, was released on the tactical side, and the hunting community is going ape shit over these, and they're all talking about turkey season in them.
Yeah.
And I cannot tell you, they're blowing out the door. And we created this for guys going to U.S. Southern Command in the military down in Southcom for the jungle pattern. And it's amazing that I think half of them going out the door are going to guys turkey hunting.
I just want to make sure everybody knows I was the first person to catch a 5-pound trout in tiger stripe.
You texted me immediately and let me know that. But here's another thing that's a testament to us is like tiger stripe is something you were very passionate about. It's something you were issued when you first came in.
My first uniform.
It's a badass pattern.
Yeah, you are.
And we didn't stop there. We ended up finding like the actual licensed, trademarked pattern from the Vietnam era tiger stripe. And we ended up having a conversation with them. We had a meeting with them at SHOT Show. And we're going to shift a lot of our focus to being licensed by that official pattern from
right now, for any listener that's out there, government, whatever, if you want the original Vietnam tiger stripe, if you want the desert tiger, if you want the night, which is called tack tiger, or if you want, which if you haven't ever seen it, it's pretty baller.
Yeah.
There is we're calling it Ligar because it looks like a multicam tiger.
Yeah.
I've never seen it before, but we're working with the gentleman that owns the copyright and trademark to all four. We're licensed. We can make a USA made product. It ain't cheap, folks, but if you want to come in and do a bulk order on desert tiger, jungle tiger, night tiger, we're your Huckleberry. We got it. So, and that's what I like is that we have this, what does everybody want? And Kurt and I, back up 6 months ago when we were on the verge of these deals, multicam, tiger stripe, and frickin' Mossy Oak Bottomland, because you have to understand that both of us came to this company where we were a solids company.
Yeah.
Okay, we're only doing solids. And the only reason we got out of solids is the guy sitting in this chair right here did a massive order to a government agency for Desert Digital, and it opened our optic about where we needed to go, and the customer responded. So kind of cool. And I'll tell you, I owe Kurt a gratitude that I can't even explain, because I come up with these ideas and I filter him through him, and he's like, "Nah, man, you're not insane." Where, everybody else, we get all this input and we're like, "That's so fucking stupid." Yeah. But we will talk and we'll be like, let's take a swing at this. And all I have to do is reach out to my 20 people, his 20 people, and your 20 people and be like, hey, what do you think about Jungle Tiger? And when we get 60 fuck yeses.
I tell you what was surprising to me, the woodland I had the woodland tops or whatever else. And when I came into the army, we wore woodland, right?
Yeah, same here.
Yeah. Yeah. And so,
Elvis Presley collar.
I had went, yeah. I had went, fishing, and I was wearing the woodland op top, and, the amount of people that were like, man, that's badass. Where can I order that? So I made a post and I tagged it. And when I say an overwhelming amount of people, like we're talking 50 plus people had asked me about where can I get that top? And they're like, do you like that pattern? And I'm like, no, not overly. I'm like, we've got tiger stripe coming. And they're like, tiger stripe. And I'm like, it's a Vietnam kind of thing. And there's another company that kind of copied, tiger stripe. I said, it looks kind of like this. And they were like, why don't you like that pattern? I'm like, I wore it when I, joined the army, and it's kind of, I'm over it or whatever. Can I order it? And I'm like, yeah, it's on the tactical side. And they're like, why isn't it on the hunting side? And I'm like, dude, just pretend you're on the hunting side. Just order the shit right. And I sent them a link. And the amount of people that I was surprised with tiger stripe and woodland hunting, right?
So
was
one
high.
Dude, like literally the first two ambassadors of yours, the first two guys, when they heard we're having tiger, Derek Wolf and Brandon Lilly.
Yeah.
When they heard red tigers, they're like, I want a set now. And I'm like, why? And they're like, turkey season.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and then I didn't know, again, I'm not the world-class hunter you are.
Turkey see color.
I didn't know turkeys see color. And I didn't know that turkey is absolutely the fucking one animal you better be in camo.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So
Yep. They can see color. It's like bell bottoms come back and whatever.
Never hear, but go ahead.
Yeah, I know whatever. Like they're in style again or whatever. Like that woodland tiger stripe. Well, you're a little bit older. You and I are closer, but we're all kind of, what do you got on me? Actually, 10 years. And then how old are you?
41.
41. So
not much further.
For the record, I could be Kurt's daddy.
Oh, fuck.
I'm not even fucking close.
I'm in the middle. But that woodland tiger striped era is kind of, where we're all at.
Yeah.
It wasn't anything new for me, but fuck, it's new for the outdoor world. And it was funny when people were messaging me about, when I wore that, tiger stripe, I wore like a ridgeline base layer, the tiger stripe over, and then a top we haven't come out with yet. Anyway, a prototype top. So when it got hotter, I pulled it off and I was posting photos, and guys were like, where can I order that? And I'm like, you've never seen tiger stripe? And somebody brought up Platoon or no, it wasn't Platoon. What was the one? Apocalypse Now.
Yes, I was going to say.
Yep. And somebody was like, that looks like from Apocalypse Now. And I'm like, yeah, that's what it fucking is. Brother, that's jungle. Pattern. Yeah, exactly. So it was cool on the hunting side of things for guys to, to see that.
So the way I pitched it to Bear was the first uniform I ever wore when I came in the service, because I'm fucking old, was tigers.
Yeah.
And we went away from tigers in the first year I was in, and we went to, it was called OG 107, which was the OD Green Jungle Fatigue.
Yeah.
And the funny story there, Kurt will laugh at this one, is when I came to Born Primitive, they were trying to develop the first generation op assault pant, and they had been in front of multiple Navy frogmen, and they'd all said this thing was badass. And I walked in and almost threw up when I looked at this thing. It was this shit pea green of a color I'd never seen, and they were calling it OD green.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, you motherfuckers don't know. Was it
like
OD
a lot more O than D?
I was like, if a Marine saw this and you were trying to pass this as OD green, that would not fly.
Yeah.
So
was it a lot more olive than drab?
Not only went back to the drawing board on the color, but we went back to the drawing board on the design of the pant in general. We just completely revamped.
I brought in a jungle fatigue top.
Yeah.
I brought in a jungle fatigue top and laid it down. I'm like, that's OD green. Yeah. This is what we need to match. Color swatch this.
Yeah. And that's amazing, because it's like that portrays our passion for creating quality products. Like, even if a lot of companies will come out with a pant and they'll say, okay, that's our pant, like take it or leave it. We're like constantly taking feedback and taking internal feedback. And we're like, we kind of fucked up on that. Like, we didn't choose the right fabric, or we didn't choose the right thread. We didn't choose the right features. So let's revamp it. Absolutely not opposed to coming back and saying, hey, we can always improve. Like an adage that was pretty prevalent when I was in was like, if you're not always tweaking your gear, like you've kind of like became stagnant. So if you come back from like a long George cycle or deployment and you're not tweaking your gear in some manner, that's an indication that you kind of have become complacent with what we have.
Same term for me was always improve your foxhole.
Absolutely.
Improve your foxhole.
Yes.
Fucking make it right.
The same with the gear. We're taking that mentality and we're transferring that to the gear that we're creating. It's like, even though we created an awesome product and the people were really happy with it, there's always going to be features where you're like, fuck, we messed up with that. We didn't add DWR on it when that's what the customer wants, or, we needed hip vents. And so it's like, we're always willing to recreate that product and release a 2.0 or 3.0 or a better version of that.
So this is the next one. So we fixed the OD green and then it's on the police blue. And I was losing my shit because the police blue was horrible. I had LA SWAT send me a uniform.
Yeah.
And I fucking went and locally bought a pair of 511 pants.
Yeah.
And I went out back and threw them on the driveway and took a picture of our police blue, 511 navy blue, and LA SWAT's blue.
And why the driveway is important is because if you have that product in a building with fluorescent light or internal lighting in general, it just looks different. So you got to get out in the natural sunlight so that you can see what that actual hue looks like.
Our shit was purple.
Our
shit was straight purple. Up. So I took the picture and I sent it to Bear and I'm like, dude, this is our police blue.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh my God. I'm like, I've been saying this for a week, but now I've shown you. So we sent the LA SWAT blue uniform to our manufacturer, a swatch of it. I cut it in half. I'm like, you need to send me a swatch back that matches this. Up. When it came back and we went right out, we went in the light box, which is the technical side. Then we went right out inside in the same driveway in the natural sun, laid them side by side and had like 15 people come and go, same color. I'm like, now we have police blue. So thanks, LA SWAT.
Oh shit. That's funny. Well, we've covered just about everything you possibly can. I mean, obviously with me coming on board and then the academy and everything, you are, tactical hunting, whatever else. Where do you see, the outdoor and tactical side in 2 years? I think that's probably the bigger question than with me.
I think the most important thing to me is to continue. So I focus on relationships, product, and team. And to me, I need to continue to build the team that I can be myself, I can speak freely, and in the absence of my presence, they act how I want it to be acted on. And Kurt's an example. I can send Kurt to a meeting and I don't need to hear anything. He is going to carry forward with what I believe to be the action. The product, as long as we are saying the product is not good enough, as long as we are saying the product is the right product, I will continue to be happy. I will never settle. As soon as we start getting ever into a position where we settle, I'm not your guy anymore. And then the vision is to fully outfit the tactical and hunter with the full ensemble. So the example I'll give you is you talked about some of the really cool shit that you're developing on the outdoor side. My passion on the tactical side, we need a fire resistant capability. I'm working, and if people don't know, all the FR materials out there are not performance athletic stretch materials, and that's our DNA. So if you want to buy something that is kind of rough feeling and doesn't move with the body, it already exists. I am going to wait until, and we're 16 months into developing a stretch FR fabric. I'm on that. I want to develop something specifically for breachers. It's a very big mission, from saws, torches, explosives. We don't really have something right now for them. I want to go there, and I want to develop a maritime specific uniform for our guys that are doing, alongside VBSS, whatever it may be. So I honestly am listening to what the mission is, and the same way you are in the outdoor, and I'm trying to build what is not in the system that needs to be replaced. Where do I see us in 3 years? I'm going to tell you where we are right now. I just had lunch with my counterpart, who's an executive at a very big tactical brand, and he said every fucking board meeting, Born Primitive is being talked about. We are making noise. We are a brand, not a small company. We're coming on strong, and they're watching us. And why are they watching us? because of what we're doing and how we're doing it. We are a America First company that is building quality products at a good price point by real operators. And they're worried about where we're going. I'm not worried. I'll tell every one of my partner brands or competing brands out there, there's enough to go around for everybody, but I'm here to crush you.
Yeah. We're approaching this conventional problem that a lot of brands face with an asymmetrical mindset that we have as an experience.
That nails it. There's enough to go around, but I'm going to crush it and I'm going to achieve it. Now, the final note I'll have is that, yes, I'll give you the best example. That Opasalt pant you're wearing, I fucking love it. If that Opasalt pant was FR or no melt, no drip, and had the exact same stretch and exact same dexterity on it, and maybe one more piece of elastic up higher for a charge to be restrained in a pocket up there for certain customers, I would say we have the ultimate assault pant. So to me, I still don't have the ultimate pant. And that's my primary mission right now. So for those listening, know that the quest never stops. And that's where I want to be. I want to be able to walk into a room the way I used to walk into it as a flight lead in the 160th, where everybody goes, "What'd you say? Fuck yeah, Bruno." I want to walk in there as the born primitive guy and hear, "Fuck yeah, Bruno." And give me your ideas, boys, because I will build it. I will fucking build it. Because if you need it, we're going to build it. So that's what I see, man.
Aaron, I would say stop wearing the tactical shit so you can start promoting the outdoor shit.
Oh, that's funny. I do wear the, it's funny because in the field I wear the assault pant, but I also wear the Frontier and Frontier Light. But this set of pants I've had, this is the original prototype assault pant. I brought these to British Columbia and I wore them on hot days and I wore the standard Frontier, on colder days. But it's weird. I get fucked with a lot because I wear everything here. Like when I say everything, there's shit in the BP main line that I wear hunting, like long sleeves, synthetic tops. But with me, I wear what works, and that's kind of the beauty of this company. Is we've got not three tiers, but we've got BP main, BP tactical, BPO. It's hard for me to not sell guys all three pants, and I get fucked with a lot here.
We all own all three pants.
Even our EDC, like we're wearing the Raycon jeans right now. Like
these are the best fucking stretch EDC, fucking everyday carry, mobility. I'll still run your ass down with them because they move with the body.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I get it, man.
Yeah, no, even the terrain pant, but yeah, no, I'm excited about the future. I really appreciate everything the company and you guys have done for me, and it's been a lot less stressful in my life. There's been a lot of work, but work does not necessarily mean stress. Work is work, stress is stress. So it's been great, moving over. So on that note, we should probably close this up because I really need to pee.
Yeah, I got to take a piss.
All right, so we will close it out. But two things I'm going to say. You fuckers just continue to work and do what you do. And I believe in you pass the stress uphill to me.
Yeah.
You let me fucking worry about the stress. You let me fight the battles and you guys just keep fucking pounding because what you're doing is changing the brand. And that's why I'm here. And that's why the leadership above me has me here. So let's keep doing this. For everybody listening, these two guys got to piss. This has been.
You didn't drink enough.
Everybody knows I don't drink. I barely drink. And fucking Norm Hooten, I love you, but these motherfuckers just had me drink a whole bottle of whiskey on camera.
It was a team effort.
Hopefully we're not stupid. Thanks for tuning into this episode of the Hot Wash by Born Primitive Tactical. Don't forget to like, subscribe, or follow us at Born Primitive Tactical. I'll see you next time.